Shree Maathrey Namaha. With the divine blessings of our Mother Divine Lalitha Tripura Sundari and Father Divine Lord Mahadeva, we are continuing to discuss the Holy Lalitha Sahasranamam. In the last episode, we have discussed Kamesha Gnata Saubhagya Mardhavo Rudvanvita on how this Namam actually initiates one into Kundalini Tantram, starting from the base of the spine where the Mooladhara Chakram resides. And we have discussed briefly about the Mooladhara Chakram, the Bhala Brahma in it, the Shakti Tattva in it, which is called Dakini, and then the ruling god of Mooladhara, Ganesha, how Ganesha's form, being the son of Mother Divine and Father Divine, is a challenging form to accept, and how many people, using their rational mind, get stuck at the superficial levels itself rather than getting inside the meaning and the contextual sensitivity of Ganesha, who enables and allows one's spiritual journey by opening the gates of the Sushumna Nadi at the base of Mooladhara Chakram, through which the Kundalini, by raising its head, will start consciously raising through the levels of spine, therefore allowing the individual to experience a new realization, new level of awakening through his or her life. The seven tattvas or the seven dhatus that are often connected to the seven chakras get started at Mooladhara. These seven are nothing but the Raja, Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja. Raja is nothing but connected to the earth of Mooladhara. Rasa is nothing but the fluids in Swadistana Chakra. Next is blood, Rakta. Next is Mamsa, nerve fibers, tissues, flesh. Next is Meda, which is fat. Next is Asti, bone. The last one, again, is something that lies inside the bone, which is the bone marrow. These are the seven tattvas which are often connected to the Sangita Saptaswaras, Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. In Nadopasana, which is using the Saptaswaras directly connected to the seven chakras of the body, there are great saints, Vaghekaras, composers like Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshitar, who have enabled themselves to the level of liberation by taking Sangita or music as their vehicle of liberation. We will be referring back to these concepts as we progress through. In the last episode, we have briefly touched about Mooladhara Chakram, and Mooladhara lies at the bottom of the spine. And now today we'll discuss briefly about Swadhisthana Chakram, which is the next one in the Kundalini Tantram, or the second chakra from the base of our spine. The Swadhisthana Chakram has the ruling divine is Mahavishnu, and the ruling Shakti is called Rakini. Vishnu is in the form of a very young, youthful Vishnu with 4 arms, and one arm is holding the Gada, and one arm is holding the Sudarshana Chakra, the other arm is holding the conch, and in the lower left hand he holds the Padma. These 4 are indicative of the sustenance of Lord Vishnu, who sustains our day-to-day life throughout the longevity of a being. Now, this Vishnu is responsible for sustaining one through his or her life. The Shakti Rakini holds Dhamaru in her left hand, skull in the lower right hand, an arrow pointing upwards in the upper right hand, and an axe in the upper left hand. These 4 represent, the arrow in the upper right hand actually represents the arrow of Kama, and when this arrow or the desire of Kama is pointed towards up rather than getting stuck at the sensual pleasures, if it can be taken up, that's what the arrow means, then this energy and desire will lead to one's liberation without getting stuck with the bodily needs, desires, or the carnal pleasures. The skull in her lower right hand symbolizes how everyone has to diminish into a skull. So if one chooses to be stuck with the bodily desires only, then he or she will diminish to the level of skull and therefore will not be able to rise up. As long as they are rising the desires on the right path, this Swadhisthana Chakra will help Kundalini elevate up through the different chakras, through the Sushumna Nadi. That's what the upper hand's up arrow means. The lower hand's skull means one will diminish into a mere skull one or the other day. So start waking up early is an indicator of that skull. Then the Damaru in the left hand depicts the sound and the power of rhythm. In Kundalini Tantram, there is a lot of connectivity between breath, rhythm, and the different pranayamas one does, depending on his or her elevation and the spirituality. And the upper arrow's axe is something that will help sever the bodily pleasures to raise beyond the emotion and all the happiness and unhappiness that are connected with the bodily feelings. There's a lot of secrecy with respect to expressing the bodily needs amongst individuals. And even the elevated saints sometimes do fall in the clutches of the bodily desires. It's because Mother Divine makes them fall prey to those desires and the clutches of the desires. So great Mahapurushas can be born out of those great realized souls, like Maharshi Parasara moved with a desire to produce Vyasa. Vyasa moved with a desire to produce to Sukha Maharshi. Similarly, that bodily desires, when channeled through the right energy channels, will elevate one through the spiritual peaks of one's existence. Crocodile, being the ruling animal of Swadhisthana Chakra, essentially represents the very subtle art of deception on how a crocodile lurks hidden or lies hidden under the water for its prey to come in. And inside the water, even an elephant or a wild bull cannot fight a crocodile. A croc really becomes very, very powerful inside the water. Such is the power of these desires that move us to become intimate with the bodies rather than trying to channelize our energies with the rightful energies. And when the rightful energies align, they often produce Sadhyo Garbham, which means they produce brilliant kids who will help the generations of populations to come by showing them the path, like a Vivekananda, a Ramakrishna Paramamsa, a Jagadguru, Adi Shankaracharya, the Peethadipatis who are all born out of Sadhyo Garbham, which essentially means they will show the path of spiritual upliftment to the masses and to the ignorant folks like me. This essentially is the meaning, the cryptic meaning of Swadhisthana Chakram. Essentially, Swadhisthana Chakram and the sensual awakening happens at the age of 8 in boys and girls. This is the reason, according to the Vedas, the boys are asked to be initiated into the Gayatri Mantra, Upanayana, at the age of 7 years 2 months, including the 10 months of Garbhavasam, or they are living in the mother's holy womb before coming into this planet with their existence. That's the reason at the age of 7 years 2 months, when boys are performed with Upanayanam, they will be their sensual pleasures, their knowledge of the genders, their knowledge of the opposite sexes will contain their curiosity and start channeling it the right way. That is the reason Gayatri Upasana, which ends with Prachodayat, the 24 mantra ends with Prachodayat, essentially asking the Vedamata to help the one who is chanting the holy Gayatri mantra to have their wisdom flower up, so they can choose wisely what is right from what is not. Similarly, in girls, the Veda Sampradaya says girls should be taught the likes of Lalitha Sahasranama, or Gayatri Mantra can also be very, very well taught to girls, because this is typically the age before the pre-puberty, as the body starts going through a lot of changes, especially from Mooladhara to Swadhisthana. The girl is preparing her journey to become a woman. Therefore, it's very, very important to have them focus their energies on the divine forces that channel and rule the body, and therefore keep the crocodile-driven senses of Swadhisthana in check. If you look at Guru Dakshinamurti, he has crocodile as his earring on the right ear, essentially saying, listen. By listening to the world, the sensual pleasures will always rise, but applying the Damaru, which is in his upper right hand, that rhythm of Vedas, knowledge, wisdom, always suppresses these sensual pleasures that continue to drive, rule our lives every day. Now, coming to the Vishnu, who is the ruling lord of Swadhisthana Chakra, the Gada in Vishnu's hand essentially gives us the right level of sensual pleasures that, depending on the ashram one is in, helps us fulfill those pleasures. And the lotus that is there in Vishnu's left lower hand essentially is the one that helps us get over our sensual pleasures, therefore helping us walk to the paths of philosophy and blissfulness, which is beyond the sensual pleasure. The chakra, the Sudarshana Chakra, that rotates on his upper right hand's index finger, depicts that I'm going to cut through all the obstacles, all the disharmony and all the imbalance that is coming my devotee's way, depending on his or her Dhyana Sampradaya. This Sudarshana Chakra also is a depiction of time. Whatever comes in the time needs to fall in the rhythm of time, and that rhythm of time can only be channelized by the Pranava Om. Everyone starts his or her journey with Pranavakara Om Mantram, and that is represented by the constantly rotating Sudarshana Chakram, which will enable our energies to be channelized with the divine energies, starting with Mooladharam of Ganapati Tattvam, then going to Swadistana Chakram, where Lord Vishnu's Sudarshana Chakram helps us get a blissful Sudarshanam of the same once Atma Sakshatkaram, or the realization of soul, is the beautiful and blissful darshan one can get of him or herself. This is a brief attempt at explaining the Mooladharam and Swadhisthana Chakrams that lie very cryptically hidden in this Namam. Kamesha Gnata Saubhagya Mardavoru Duhanvita. Stay blessed. Spread the bliss around. Shree Maathrey Namaha.